Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future by Ashlee, Vance. Do you think I'm insane? Picture this. You're sitting across from one of the planet's most famous entrepreneurs at an upscale Silicon Valley restaurant. After months of rejection, he's finally agreed to let you chronicle his life. For 2.5 hours, he's been pouring out his deepest anxieties, like how his buddy Larry Page from Google might accidentally create an army of killer robots. He's casually discussing colonizing Mars like most people talk about their weekend plans. Then, just as he's about to leave, he leans in close, locks eyes with you, and drops that question. Do you think I'm insane? This was journalist Ashlee Vance's reality with Elon Musk. And honestly, that single question captures everything about the man. Is he a brilliant visionary pushing humanity forward, or has he completely lost the plot? It's the debate that's been raging ever since. Today we're unpacking Vance's extraordinary biography, Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future. This isn't your typical billionaire fluff piece. This book became a runaway bestseller because it peeled back the layers on someone who operates in a completely different dimension than the rest of us mere mortals. Vance dedicated over a year to interviewing more than 200 people. Eventually, after that intense dinner showdown, Musk himself came on board, giving Vance unprecedented access through countless hours of conversation. What emerged is the portrait of a man shaped by profound suffering, powered by a mission that sounds ripped from a sci-fi novel, and blessed, or cursed, with a work ethic that would absolutely destroy most people. So here's the million-dollar question. What's the secret sauce behind Elon Musk's seemingly impossible achievements? How does one human simultaneously transform the car industry, revolutionize space travel, and spark a clean energy revolution? The answer goes way beyond raw genius or deep pockets. It's about a unique mindset, a way of seeing the world that's both ruthlessly logical and wildly creative. By the time we're done today, you'll grasp the core principles driving this force of nature. You'll see his blueprint for tackling impossible challenges, bouncing back from crushing failures, and basically bending reality to his will. This is more than a book summary. It's a masterclass in what it actually takes to change the world. Our journey doesn't start in some gleaming tech headquarters, but in Pretoria, South Africa, during the dark days of apartheid. Young Elon Reeve Musk was nothing like the commanding figure we know today. He was small, quiet, socially awkward, and bullied mercilessly. He was that kid who'd correct his siblings about the exact distance to the moon and would mentally check out for hours at a time. His parents actually took him to doctors worried he might be deaf because he'd just stare into space, completely disconnected from everything around him. But here's the thing. He wasn't deaf. He was designing. His brain operated like some kind of engineering software, creating vivid mental images of rockets and alien worlds. I can't do this as much now, Musk later admitted, but as a kid, it happened constantly. That huge chunk of your brain normally processing what you see, it got hijacked for internal calculations. School was absolute hell. Gangs of boys hunted him like prey. One horrific day, they kicked him in the head, hurled him down concrete stairs, then beat him unconscious. He spent a week in the hospital. The physical injuries were terrible, but the emotional betrayal cut deeper. These bullies even manipulated his best friend into setting him up for another beating. And that really hurt, Musk recalled decades later, tears still welling up at the memory. Home wasn't exactly a refuge either. After his parents split, he chose to live with his father, Errol, a talented engineer who was also deeply troubled. Life with his dad was, in Elon's words, pure, misery. He described his father as having a special gift for making life unbearable, someone who could transform any positive situation into something toxic. Years later, Musk would reflect, "I had a brutal childhood, so maybe that toughened me up. That pain forged a suit of armor and lit a fierce determination to escape and create something better than the world he knew." Books and computers became his escape hatch. He devoured every volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. He inhaled science fiction, Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, and his absolute favorite, Douglas Adams's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That book gave him a life-altering insight. Adams suggested that the tough part isn't finding answers, it's figuring out the right questions to ask. For young Musk, wrestling with existential questions, this was a light bulb moment. He concluded humanity's purpose was to expand the scope and scale of human consciousness so we can better understand what questions to ask. This wasn't just teenage philosophizing. It became his life blueprint. To expand consciousness, humanity needed to survive. To survive, we needed to solve two massive problems: our addiction to fossil fuels and the risk of extinction from a planet-wide catastrophe, sustainable energy, and becoming a multi-planetary species. At 14 years old, he'd mapped out his entire life's mission. He taught himself programming on a Commodore VIC-20, blasting through a 6-month course in 3 sleep-deprived days. At just 12, he created a video game called Blastar, a space shooter, and sold the code to a magazine for $500. He knew his destiny wasn't in South Africa. It was in America, the place where impossible dreams actually came true. At 17, he finally made his break, leveraging his mother's Canadian citizenship to leave South Africa forever. He arrived in Canada basically broke, grinding through a series of brutal odd jobs. One of the worst? Cleaning the boiler room at a lumber mill for $18 an hour. So dangerous that out of 30 workers who started that week, only 3 finished it. He was one of them. This grittiness defined his university years at Queen's and later at the University of Pennsylvania. He and his brother Kimball would cold call successful business leaders and invite them to lunch, just to pick their brains. He crushed his studies, earning degrees in physics and economics, while refining his master plan. He identified 3 sectors that would reshape civilization: the Internet, renewable energy, and space. He committed to pursuing all 3. In 1995, the Internet's siren song became irresistible. He dropped out of his Stanford PhD program after literally 2 days and moved to Silicon Valley with Kimball to launch their first company, Zip2. The concept was elegantly simple: an online city guide. Think early Yelp meets Google Maps, helping local businesses establish an online presence. They were broke. They rented a cramped office, crashed on a beanbag, and showered at the YMCA. For 3 months, they practically lived at the office, coding around the clock. Musk's work ethic was already the stuff of legend. He'd code all night, and when employees arrived each morning, they'd find him passed out on the beanbag and literally kick him awake so work could continue. In 1999, Compaq purchased Zip2 for $307 million. At 27, Musk walked away with $22 million. He was a dot-com millionaire. He bought himself a $1 million McLaren F1 supercar and a small plane. To everyone watching, he was living the Silicon Valley fantasy. But Musk had zero interest in kicking back. He immediately dumped nearly everything into his next venture, a company that would shake up finance, X.com. He believed banking was ancient, inefficient, and begging for disruption. His audacious goal? Create a complete online financial institution from scratch. He invested $12 million of his own money, a move that stunned everyone around him. He's willing to take insane personal risks, said Ed Ho, a co-founder. "When you make a bet like that, you either strike gold or you're homeless." The company faced constant internal drama. Meanwhile, a competing startup called Confinity had a popular service called PayPal. Both companies were locked in a death match, essentially hemorrhaging money to acquire users. In March 2000, they decided to merge, with Musk as the biggest shareholder. But the internal battles only intensified, with fierce disagreements over technology and branding. Then came the ultimate betrayal. In September 2000, while Musk was finally on his honeymoon flight with his first wife Justine, a group of executives staged a coup. By the time his plane touched down, he'd been ousted as chief executive, replaced by Peter Thiel. It was a brutal awakening that would permanently shape him. He vowed never again to lose control of his companies, but instead of waging war, he did something unexpected. He stayed on as an advisor, kept investing, and remained the largest shareholder. His restraint paid off spectacularly. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion. After taxes, Musk pocketed about $180 million. Now he had the resources to chase his real dreams, the ones that had captivated him since childhood: space and sustainable energy. He relocated to Los Angeles, the epicenter of aerospace, leaving the Silicon Valley bubble behind. He threw himself into the space enthusiast community, even joining the Mars Society's board. He began crafting an audacious plan, the Mars Oasis. He'd buy a refurbished Russian intercontinental ballistic missile, attach a robotic greenhouse, and launch it to Mars. The goal? Grow the first plant on another planet, a grand symbolic gesture to reignite humanity's passion for space exploration. In late 2001, he flew to Moscow with a small team to purchase those Russian missiles. The meetings were a complete disaster. The Russians, drinking vodka, dismissed this young boy completely. During one meeting, their chief designer actually spat on Musk and his colleague. When they rejected his final offer, Musk stormed out. On that gloomy flight back from Moscow, defeated and dejected, something clicked. His team was drinking, trying to forget the failed trip. Musk was furiously typing on his laptop. Suddenly, he spun around and displayed a spreadsheet. "Hey guys," he announced, "I think we can build this rocket ourselves." He'd spent months absorbing textbooks on rocket propulsion and orbital mechanics. His calculations revealed that raw rocket materials cost only a tiny fraction of what aerospace giants were charging. He realized the industry had stagnated for 50 years. They were building Ferraris for every launch when a Honda Accord would work perfectly fine. He could apply Silicon Valley's lean, rapid iteration philosophy to build rockets for 10% of the cost. Forget the publicity stunt. He was launching a real rocket company. In June 2002, with $100 million of his own cash, Space Exploration Technologies, SpaceX, was born. The mission was beautifully simple and impossibly ambitious: become the Southwest Airlines of space. His goal was making rockets reusable, a breakthrough that would slash spaceflight costs and ultimately enable his dream of a Mars colony. The established industry thought he'd lost his mind. They'd watched rich guys crash and burn before, but Musk discovered his secret weapon in Tom Mueller, a legendary amateur rocket enthusiast building liquid fuel engines in his garage that outperformed anything the hobbyist world had seen. Musk hired Mueller, and they began building SpaceX's first rocket, the Falcon 1. Those early days were relentlessly brutal. The team established a launch site on Omelek, a tiny 7-acre island in the Kwajalein Atoll, a humid, soul-crushing spot in the middle of the Pacific. As one engineer described it, Gilligan's Island but with rockets. In March 2006, after years of grinding work, they were ready for their maiden launch. The Falcon 1 ignited and climbed beautifully. For 25 glorious seconds, everything was perfect. Then fire erupted. The rocket began spinning wildly, tumbled earthward, and exploded on the launch site. Failure. A year later, in March 2007, they tried again. The rocket flew magnificently for over 5 incredible minutes. The first stage separated flawlessly. The second stage fired up. In mission control, people were celebrating, embracing. Then the rocket started wobbling, broke apart, and exploded. Another failure. By now, the company was burning through money at a terrifying rate. The pressure was crushing. Then came attempt number 3 in August 2008. Once again, a perfect liftoff. And once again, just as the stages separated, a malfunction destroyed the rocket. 3 launches, 3 catastrophic failures. The team was shattered. Grown engineers were openly weeping. Musk was, in his words, super depressed. He'd burned through $100 million on SpaceX. There was only enough funding for one final attempt. But Musk wasn't just fighting one battle, he was fighting 2. While SpaceX was exploding on the launch pad, his other impossible venture, Tesla Motors, was spiraling toward bankruptcy. In 2004, Musk had invested $6.5 million to become chairman and largest shareholder of a tiny startup founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Their vision was building a high-performance electric sports car powered by thousands of the same lithium-ion cells used in laptops. Their first creation, the Roadster, was gorgeous and lightning-quick, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, but manufacturing it was a nightmare. The project suffered constant delays, production disasters, and exploding costs. A car meant to sell for around $85,000 was actually costing nearly $200,000 to produce. Which brings us to 2008, the darkest chapter of Elon Musk's life. SpaceX had failed 3 times, with only one shot remaining. Tesla was hemorrhaging about $4 million monthly and teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. The global financial crisis hit, making fundraising basically impossible. The press was savage. A popular automotive blog launched a Tesla Death Watch. Musk's public image was cratering. Then his personal life exploded. His marriage to Justine ended in a messy, very public divorce that played out across tabloids and blogs. He was running out of money, borrowing from friends just to make payroll. He started having nightmares, screaming in his sleep. His new girlfriend, actress Tallulah Riley, said he looked like death walking. He faced an impossible dilemma: divide his remaining money between SpaceX and Tesla, risking both companies, collapse, or save one and abandon the other. He later admitted, "I genuinely thought everything was screwed." This was the moment of truth. On September 28, 2008, SpaceX launched Falcon 1 for the 4th time. Everything hung in the balance. The rocket roared, climbed, and soared. First stage separated. Second stage ignited. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. Then, 9 minutes into flight, Falcon 1 reached orbit. It was the first privately built, liquid-fueled rocket ever to accomplish this. Back on the factory floor, employees erupted in celebration. Musk emerged, mentally exhausted, saying, "That was absolutely incredible. Definitely one of the greatest days of my life." SpaceX was saved. But Tesla was still dying. The company needed to close a funding round by Christmas Eve or face bankruptcy. Existing investors were wavering. Musk bluffed, claiming he'd fund the entire $40 million round himself, even though he didn't have it. The strategy worked. Investors came through. The deal closed at the absolute last possible moment, just before Christmas Eve. Then another miracle struck. On December 23rd, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract for International Space Station resupply missions. Within months, Musk had gone from total ruin to saving both companies. He was in Boulder, Colorado for the holidays when the emotion finally hit him, and he broke down crying. From that turning point, everything changed. SpaceX didn't just survive, it dominated. It became the commercial rocket industry's powerhouse, launching satellites for nations and corporations worldwide at a fraction of competitors, prices like Boeing and Lockheed Martin. And Tesla, it didn't just deliver a car, it sparked a revolution. In 2012, Tesla began shipping the Model S sedan. It was breathtaking. A whisper-quiet, stunning all-electric vehicle that could travel 300 miles per charge, seat 7 people, and accelerate faster than a Porsche. It featured 2 trunks and a gorgeous 17-inch touchscreen controlling everything. It received the highest safety rating in history and was unanimously named Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Consumer Reports gave it their highest rating ever, declaring it the best car they'd ever tested. Musk had achieved the impossible. He'd created not just the best electric car, but the best car, period. This brings us to what Vance calls the unified field theory of Elon Musk. His companies aren't separate ventures. They're interconnected pieces of one grand vision. SolarCity, the solar panel company he helped his cousins launch and shares, powers Tesla charging stations with clean energy, providing free sustainable fuel for Tesla drivers. Tesla manufactures battery packs that SolarCity sells to homes and businesses, creating a distributed clean energy grid. SpaceX and Tesla share knowledge on materials and manufacturing techniques. It's one integrated ecosystem, engineered to accelerate humanity's transition to sustainable energy while simultaneously building the technology for a backup plan on Mars. Today, Musk's empire continues expanding at breakneck speed. Tesla is constructing a massive gigafactory to produce more lithium-ion batteries than currently exist worldwide, driving down costs to enable a $35,000 electric car for everyone. SpaceX is testing self-landing reusable rockets that touch down on ocean barges, a breakthrough promising to make spaceflight 100 times cheaper. And he keeps dreaming bigger, proposing the Hyperloop, a revolutionary transportation system shuttling people between cities at 800 miles per hour, and a plan to blanket Earth with thousands of satellites providing universal internet access. Musk remains the commanding general of his engineering army, revered and feared by employees. He's notorious for brutal honesty and impossibly high standards. He obsesses over every detail, from a car's body curvature to company email acronyms. When he demands an impossible deadline and engineers say yes, they're not working for him, they're working for the mission itself. Elon's worst quality, one former employee noted, is a complete absence of loyalty or human connection. People working for him were like ammunition, deployed for a specific purpose until depleted, then discarded. Yet remarkably, nearly everyone he's fired still speaks of him with genuine awe. They believe in the mission. Musk has achieved what few leaders ever do, creating a sense of purpose so powerful it makes the impossible feel achievable. He's given his people a reason to sacrifice, to push past their limits, not for money, but for the chance to build something extraordinary. So what can we extract from this almost unbelievable story? Ashlee Vance's book is packed with insights, but I want to highlight 3 that I believe are most transformative. First is the power of a mission-driven life. Musk isn't motivated by wealth. As his first wife Justine observed, money isn't his motivation. It's just there. He knows he can generate it. His true driving force is his quest, the one he defined as a teenager, ensuring humanity's long-term survival. This isn't some hollow corporate mission statement. It's the operating system running his entire existence. When you have a mission transcending personal gain, it becomes your North Star. It provides the fuel to push through impossible days, devastating failures, and crushing criticism. It enables you to demand extraordinary sacrifices from yourself and others, because the goal isn't personal glory. It's a shared, noble purpose. What's your mission? It doesn't need to be Mars colonization, but having a clear, powerful why is the foundation of any significant achievement. Second is the absolute necessity of embracing pain and failure. Musk's life has been defined by suffering, a brutal childhood, business betrayals, public humiliation, and the near-total implosion of his life's work in 2008. Antonio Gracias, one of his closest friends, said of that period, what he endured in 2008 would have shattered anyone else. He didn't just survive. He kept pushing forward. The harder things get, the stronger he becomes. I've never witnessed anything like his capacity to absorb pain. Most of us are conditioned to avoid pain and fear failure. We chase comfort and security. Musk seems to understand that real growth and breakthroughs don't happen in comfort zones. They happen at the edge of chaos, when everything's on the line. He doesn't merely tolerate risk, he sees it as essential for greatness. He's willing to risk everything for a cause he believes in. How often does fear of failure, or even mild discomfort, stop us from pursuing something truly meaningful? Finally, there's the principle of first principles thinking. This is perhaps Musk's most potent intellectual weapon. Instead of reasoning by analogy, which is what most people do, copying what others have done, Musk starts with fundamental truths. When he wanted to build rockets, he rejected the industry's astronomical prices. He asked, "What's a rocket actually made of?" Aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. What do these materials cost on the commodity market? He discovered raw materials represented only about 2% of typical rocket prices. Everything else was layers of inefficiency and legacy processes. By starting from the physics of the problem, he could see pathways invisible to everyone else. This is powerful for any challenge you face. Don't just accept how things are done. Break problems down to their most basic elements, the things you know are absolutely true, and build your reasoning from there. That's where genuine innovation lives. Elon Musk is complex, flawed, and often difficult. He's not a perfect role model in every dimension, but he's a testament to the power of human will. He demonstrates what's possible when grand vision combines with relentless determination and a mind refusing to accept impossible. He reminds us that childhood dreams of spaceships, of a better world, don't have to fade. With enough grit, intelligence, and unwavering belief in a mission, we can actually build them. We've walked through fire with Elon today, from South African schoolyards to Cape Canaveral launch pads, but this is just the map of that incredible journey. The book itself, Ashlee Vance's masterpiece, is the actual voyage. The real magic lives in the details, in those quiet moments when a specific story or simple phrase hits you unexpectedly. This summary helps you decide if this epic story deserves your time. If anything we've discussed today resonated with you, if it sparked something inside, then grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning. It's an experience that can genuinely transform how you see what's possible in your own life. You'll find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if this story ignited something in you, help keep that fire burning by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration of another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Your support enables us to keep diving into these powerful ideas. Let's keep growing together.